My friends, let me pull you in close and ask you something that pierces the heart. How many times have you poured your soul into a dream only to watch it slip away when the road turned jagged and the weight of the world pressed down? How many nights have you lain awake, the ache of unfulfilled promises, gnawing at your spirit, wondering where you lost your way? What's your name, my friend? Where are you right now? Are you sitting in a quiet room wrestling with doubts that feel like chains? Or standing at a crossroads, heart pounding, unsure if you've got the strength to take the next step? Life's battles, shattered relationships, sleepless nights, heavy with worry, moments of crushing self-doubt. They carve wounds so deep they make you question your worth, your purpose, your very existence. But hear me now, with every fiber of my being, God sees you. He knows your pain, your scars, your silent cries. He crafted you with a purpose that shines brighter than the darkest storm. As Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 declares, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." You were chosen for greatness, destined to rise above the hurt, to heal through His infinite love, and to march forward with a faith that shakes the heavens. The Lord is calling you, yes, you by name, to step into His plan, to let His strength mend your brokenness, and to build consistency as the bridge to the destiny He's promised. Will you answer His call? Will you let His light guide you through the pain? We've all felt that fire at the start, the electric surge of a new dream, a vision so vivid it sets your soul ablaze. You're alive, unstoppable, ready to conquer mountains with a heart full of hope. The world feels open and God's voice feels near, whispering, "This is your moment." But then the grind slinks in like a shadow, cold and unrelenting. Life throws its chaos. Loved ones, drift doubts, claw at your confidence. Like wolves in the night, the weight of daily struggles threatens to dim your fire. What do? We stumble. We pause. We whisper to ourselves, "I'll get back to it when the storm passes, when I'm stronger, when I feel that fire again." But let me tell you, with a fire burning in my chest, waiting for the perfect moment is like chasing a ghost in a fog. You'll wander forever, lost and empty. God doesn't call you to wait for still waters. He calls you to walk on the waves, to trust His strength when yours falters. Psalm chapter 37 verse 5 proclaims, "Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in Him, and He will act." The secret is to force yourself to be consistent, even when your heart is heavy, even when life's wounds bleed fresh. Consistency anchored in God's grace is mightier than any fleeting spark of motivation. It's the truth you must carve into your soul if you want to climb the mountain of purpose He set before you. Motivation is a spark, dazzling, thrilling, a burst of light that ignites your dreams. It's the rush of a new beginning, the thrill of possibility. But like a candle in a storm, it flickers and fades. What's left when the light dies? Either ashes of abandoned hopes or a steady, smoldering fire that defies the fiercest winds. That fire, my friend, is consistency. It's not loud or glamorous, but it's fueled by God's eternal strength, His unending love. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16 declares, "For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again." That steady fire, your commitment to show up for God's plan day after day through every trial, carries you across the finish line when others have crumbled, buried under the weight of their own excuses. You know this truth deep down. Motivation is a mood, a fleeting guest that dances in and out of your life. Some mornings you wake up feeling like you could part the seas. You leap out of bed, heart pounding, ready to chase God's vision with every ounce of your being. His joy fills you, His hand guides you, and you feel invincible. But let's be raw, let's be real. Those days are rare treasures. Most mornings you wake to a symphony of excuses louder than a cathedral choir. You're exhausted, body and soul. Your heart aches from battles fought and lost. Maybe the demands of life overwhelm you, or the weight of yesterday's failures presses on your chest like a stone. On those days, motivation vanishes like mist under the noonday sun. It abandons you when you need it most, leaving you alone in the dark. That's why you can't stake your dreams on it. You can't wait for the heavens to align or for life to hand you a perfect day. Life doesn't bend to your feelings, but God does. He calls you to rise, to move, to trust. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31 proclaims those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Consistency doesn't wait for your heart to catch up. It doesn't care if you're weary, if the world's crumbling, or if the rain's pouring down. Consistency rooted in faith says, I don't care how you feel today. We're doing this because God has called us to it. That's where the miracle ignites. When you stop chasing fleeting feelings and start building consistency through God's strength, you become a force unstoppable, unbreakable, anchored in His purpose. It's like a switch flips in your soul, a divine spark that transforms you. You move from waiting for life to feel right to making it right through faith, prayer, and discipline. It's not about feeling ready to do God's work. It's about making His work the heartbeat of your life, a sacred covenant between you and the Creator who formed you with love. Pause for a moment, think about it. Who inspires you, the athlete who claims gold, the artist whose work stirs souls, the leader who changes lives? What binds them together? It's not that they're always burning with motivation. No, they've mastered the art of showing up day after day through every storm, trusting God's plan. They make consistency their shield, their sword, their prayer. That's why they stand tall, unshaken by life's blows. They face the same doubts you do, the same heartaches, the same battles that threaten to break you. But they've trained their hearts to push through, guided by a faith that whispers, God's got me. Philippians chapter 4, verse 13 declares, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. They keep going when the path is rocky, when the world screams to quit, when every step feels like wading through a river of mud. That's the power of consistency. It forges habits that become your armor, your fortress. Once those habits take root, God's work becomes second nature, as natural as breathing. It's no longer about how you feel. It's about honoring the promise you made to yourself and to Him. When you've been consistent long enough, skipping a day, a prayer, a step toward His purpose feels like a betrayal of your very soul. It feels wrong because this discipline, this faith has woven itself into the fabric of who you are. That's what separates those who fulfill God's calling from those who don't. The ones who succeed have made consistency their identity, a living testament to their trust in His plan. But let's be honest, building this kind of consistency isn't a short walk. It's a marathon through a wilderness of trials. It takes time, effort, and a discipline that burns like a fire in your bones. Discipline isn't pretty. It's not a spotlight moment or a crowd's applause. No one's going to throw a parade for you rising at dawn to pray through your pain or staying late to finish what God placed on your heart. But that's okay, because discipline isn't about glory. It's about obedience to God's voice, about answering His call when the world is silent. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 verse 10 commands, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. Discipline is the muscle that drives consistency, and like any muscle, it grows stronger with every choice to show up, every prayer lifted, every step taken in faith. The more you lean on God, the easier it becomes to keep moving, to keep trusting, to keep burning for His purpose. Let's talk about showing up, because that's the heart of it all, the pulse of this journey. Showing up is half the battle, maybe more. Most people never start. They talk themselves out of God's plan before they've even taken a step, letting their feelings, their fears, their wounds chain them to the ground. But you, my friend, you're called to be different. You got to show up even when your heart's heavy, especially when it's heavy. Those are the moments that shape your faith, that carve your character, that heal your deepest scars. Those moments separate the ordinary from the extraordinary, the dreamers from the doers. It's easy to show up when the sun's shining, when God's presence feels like a warm embrace, when life's pieces fall into place. But can you show up when the storm rages, when lightning splits the sky, when the weight of life presses down like a boulder? Can you show up when you're bone-tired, heartbroken, and frustrated, when every step feels like a battle against yourself? That's the test of your calling. That's where God meets you in the fire and the struggle, ready to lift you higher, to heal you with His love. When you pass that test, when you show up day after day, you build something sacred, momentum. Each small act of faith, each prayer whispered through tears, each step forward builds on the last, creating a tidal wave of progress that nothing can stop. That momentum is divine, a gift from God. It carries you through the darkest nights, the moments when your soul aches from life's blows, when the wounds of doubt and failure threaten to swallow you whole. It makes it easier to keep going because you've poured so much into this journey. Time, tears, prayers, faith, that stopping now would be like turning your back on God Himself. But consistency isn't just about showing up. It's about showing up with purpose, with a heart fully surrendered to God's work. It's about bringing your whole soul to the table, even when it feels like trudging through quicksand. Consistency isn't mechanical. It's relentless, a fire fueled by faith that refuses to be quenched. It's about striving to grow closer to God's purpose every day, even when you can't see the fruit, even when the path feels invisible. James chapter 2, verse 17 declares faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. You've got to keep moving, keep praying, keep pressing forward, even when the harvest feels a lifetime away. And here's the hard truth: consistency doesn't always bring instant rewards. Most times, the fruit takes time to ripen, sometimes longer than your heart can bear. It's like planting seeds in God's garden. You sow with hope, you water with prayer, you nurture with faith, but for days, weeks, even months, the soil stays silent. It looks barren, lifeless. But beneath the surface, God is working, weaving a miracle you can't yet see. Roots are digging deep, stretching wide, preparing for a harvest that will take your breath away. That's what small steps of faith are like. You may not see the growth today, tomorrow, or even this year, but God is moving. Too many abandon their seeds, walking away because the fruit didn't come fast enough, because the waiting felt too heavy. Don't be that person. Trust His timing. Galatians chapter 6, verse 9 urges, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Consistency is a long game, a marathon of faith, not a sprint for quick wins. It's about trusting God's process, believing His promises even when your eyes can't see the end. That's why consistency outshines motivation. Motivation lights the match, but consistency keeps the fire roaring through the storm. It's what separates those who dream from those who do, those who wish from those who walk boldly in God's purpose. The ones who fulfill His calling aren't always bursting with energy or riding a wave of inspiration. They show up when their hearts are heavy, when the world feels against them, when every step is a battle against doubt and despair. They've built habits that carry them through, habits rooted in a faith that declares God is faithful even when the road is long. So when the spark fades, when motivation vanishes like smoke, when you're tempted to quit, hold fast to this. It's not about how you feel. It's about honoring the covenant you made with yourself and God. It's about building a discipline so strong, a faith so deep that you show up no matter what, rain or shine, pain or joy, doubt or certainty. That's what will carry you to the purpose He's written for you, healing every wound, turning every scar into a story of His grace. We often think greatness demands grand gestures, that only monumental leaps move us forward. We tell ourselves if we don't shake the earth with one bold move, our efforts are wasted, meaningless. That lie wounds us deeply, chaining us to fear, paralyzing us with doubt. It's like standing at the foot of a mountain, staring at the peak towering above your heart, sinking under its impossible weight. The climb feels too steep, too vast, so you freeze. You wait. You make excuses. Doubt wraps around your soul like a vine, whispering you've already failed, that you're too small for God's plan. But here is truth cut through the lies like a sword: success isn't in massive moments. It's in the small, faithful steps, tiny acts of obedience that seem insignificant, but over time weave something eternal, something divine. Zechariah chapter 4 verse 10 proclaims, "Who dares despise the day of small things? Too many of us are paralyzed, waiting for the perfect moment, the big break, the divine spotlight to signal it's time to move." But waiting for miracles keeps you stuck, rooted in place while God's purpose waits. Small steps, those quiet, humble acts of faith, carry you to His promise. Picture climbing that mountain not by soaring to the top in one bound, but by placing one foot in front of the other, guided by God's light, His voice whispering, "Keep going." Each step lifts you higher, closer to His purpose, even when the peak feels a lifetime away. You may not see progress daily. Some days it feels like you're standing still, like the mountains laughing at your efforts. But look back after months, years, and you'll weep at how far God has carried you, how His hand has guided every step. The key is consistency and faith. It's not one grand effort that changes everything. It's showing up every day, trusting God, even when the path feels barren, even when your heart aches for proof. It's like planting seeds in His garden. You sow with hope, you water with prayer, but the ground stays silent, mocking your efforts. Yet beneath the soil, God is working, weaving a miracle. Those small steps are your offerings of faith, your sacrifices of trust. You don't see the harvest yet, but He's moving, shaping something glorious. Think of those you admire, the ones who've claimed greatness, who've left their mark on the world. They didn't wake up at the summit. They took small, faithful steps year after year through trials and triumphs before the world saw their light. People see the glory, gold medals, masterpieces, legacies, but they don't see the tears shed in the dark, the prayers whispered in despair, the nights spent wrestling with doubt. Those steps aren't glamorous. They're grueling, tedious, lonely. It's not easy to rise before dawn, to pour out your heart in prayer, to labor when no one's watching, when the world doesn't care. But that's where God's miracles are born, in the quiet, in the grind, in the faith that builds momentum. One step leads to another, weaving a rhythm, a habit, a life. Like a snowball rolling downhill, it starts small, barely noticeable, but grows into something unstoppable, a force of God's making. That's what happens when you commit to small steps with Him. Too many quit because the fruit doesn't come fast. They crave shortcuts, instant answers, a quick path to glory. But God's purpose takes time. His success isn't built on quick fixes or fleeting moments. It's built on persistence, resilience, and a faith that keeps you moving when the road feels endless. Small steps lead to divine results, but only if you keep taking them. Stop and you lose momentum, sliding back to the starting line, heart heavy with regret. When progress feels slow, when you're tempted to cry, what's the point? That's when you must dig deep. Lean into God. Remember why you started? You didn't begin because it was easy. You began because God planted a vision in your heart, a fire in your soul that no storm can extinguish. That vision comes alive through small, consistent acts of faith, not through waiting for miracles. Embrace the process. Fall in love with the journey, not just the destination. The journey is where God carves you, tests you, heals you. Each step proves you're capable, that you're walking in His purpose. When the harvest comes, and it will in His perfect time, you'll see it wasn't one leap, but a tapestry of faithful steps woven by God's hand that led you there. Those small steps forge character. They teach discipline, patience, a faith that endures through every trial. If you can commit to them, trusting God's plan, no dream is too big, no purpose too grand. Success isn't luck. It's preparation meeting opportunity, and preparation happens in the quiet moments, the daily prayers, the steps no one sees but God. Don't underestimate those steps. Don't despair when progress feels slow. Every step draws you closer to His promise. Every step builds momentum. Every step lays the foundation for the harvest. He's preparing a harvest that will overflow with His glory. You may not see the finish line today, but trust God, it's there, radiant with His promise. Stop waiting for permission, for perfect days, for a sign from the heavens. Take that first step today, no matter how small, no matter how shaky. Then take another tomorrow, and the next, and the next. Keep moving, keep praying, keep trusting. One day you'll look back, tears streaming down your face, and see those small steps led to a purpose so grand, so divine, it could only be God's handiwork. Big results don't come from big leaps. They come from small, steady, faithful steps. Commit to them, and God's purpose isn't just possible, it's inevitable. When you hit that wall where your body's weary, your heart shattered, and every fiber of your being screams to give up, what do? That wall isn't just exhaustion. It's every doubt, every fear, every scar life's etched into your soul. It whispers you're not enough. This is too hard. You'll never make it. That's resistance, a shadow every soul chasing God's purpose must face. It's the weight of every wound, every failure, every moment you felt less than. But the difference between those who fulfill his plan and those who don't isn't talent, luck, or strength. It's breaking through that wall with a faith that burns brighter than fear, a faith that says, God is enough. That wall will come, my friend. It's not a question of if but when. Maybe it's a dream that feels too big a burden that crushes your spirit or life, piling on more pain than you can bear, loss, betrayal, failure all at once. But if you hunger for God's purpose, if you long to walk in his plan, you've got to dig deep, cling to his strength, and face that wall head on. Breaking through isn't about human power. It's about resilience, grit, and trusting God to carry you when your legs falter, when your heart breaks. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9 proclaims, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." His grace is your strength, your healing, your victory. That wall is built of doubts, every what if piling up like bricks, each one heavier than the last. What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? What if they're right and I can't do? This doubts can chain you, make you turn back before you've even tried. They're the lies of fear, the echoes of old wounds, the shadows of inadequacy. But those doubts aren't truth. They're illusions meant to test your faith. Fear is fleeting, a passing storm. The sting of failure fades, a bruise that heals. But the regret of giving up that cuts deep, lingering like a wound that festers. Fear disguises itself as wisdom, as caution, whispering you shouldn't risk it, you're not ready, you're too broken. But fear's only job is to keep you small, to lock you in a cage of comfort. God's purpose, growth, healing, greatness lives beyond that cage. Step out in faith, declare not today, fear, and watch God move mountains for you. Then there are the excuses, the soft lies we tell ourselves. I'm too tired. I don't have time. I'll do it tomorrow. We've all sung that song, and it's a lullaby that puts your dreams to sleep. Excuses are easy, a cushion to fall back on. But they're lies we tell to dodge God's work, to avoid the pain of effort, to numb the sting of our wounds. They stack that wall higher, thicker, harder to break. Don't let them take root in your heart. Don't let them steal your purpose. How do you break through? Consistency fueled by faith. It's the hammer that chips away, not with one mighty blow, but with steady, relentless strikes, day after day, trusting God's strength to guide your hand. It's not the victory lap or the highlight reel. It's the grind, the prayers whispered through tears, the perseverance when no one's watching. It's rising at dawn when your body begs for sleep, staying late when your heart longs for rest, choosing God's purpose over ease, over comfort, over despair. Consistency isn't glamorous, but it's how you shatter the walls blocking his plan. It's how you heal, how you rise, how you become who he created you to be. Consistency is about belief. Believing God's wall can fall, believing you're not defined by your scars. If you think it's too high, it will be. Your mind shapes your reality. Believe you can break through with God and you will. Doubt and you'll retreat, shrinking back into the shadows. When fear's voice roars, choose faith. Let your hunger for God's purpose drown out the lies. Every time you push through pain, every time you surpass what you thought possible, you chip away at that wall. You emerge stronger, bolder, realizing it's not as solid as it seemed. One day you'll see it was a test, an illusion God allowed to refine your faith, to prepare you for his glory. That wall is a crucible of fire that tests how badly you want God's purpose. Most stop, make excuses, let fear win. They turn back their dreams left to wither. But you're not most people. You're here facing that wall because God called you by name. When you hit it, know it's not there to stop you. It's there to forge you, to test your faith, to prove your heart. If you want it bad enough, if you're consistent, trusting God through the pain, that wall will crumble. His strength guarantees it. His love ensures it. The pain, the struggle, the heartache, it's temporary, a fleeting shadow. It's the price of God's greatness, the cost of his purpose. But the peace, the joy, the fulfillment when you break through, that's eternal, a gift from the Father who never leaves you. Don't stop. Don't turn back. Breakthrough, showing the world, showing yourself that you're walking in God's purpose. On the other side is everything He promised: a life of purpose, healing, and glory that will leave you in awe of His grace. Success isn't the trophy, the applause, the fleeting moment of glory. It's easy to dream of standing at the pinnacle, basking in the light of achievement. But that's just a snapshot, a single frame. What shapes you, what heals your deepest wounds, what carves your soul into His image is the process. We're taught to chase rewards, grades, titles, victories as if they define us. But if you only chase the outcome, you miss God's handiwork in you. The journey is where He molds you, where lessons are etched into your bones, where faith becomes your foundation, where scars become stories of His grace. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 11 declares, He has made everything beautiful in its time. We live in a world obsessed with instant gratification, quick fixes, shortcuts, overnight success. We want the harvest without the planting, the victory without the battle. But God's purpose doesn't bend to that. There's no fast track to His greatness, no bypass around His process. The process is the crucible where He refines you, where He heals you. The outcome is a moment bright but fleeting. The process is eternal. The sweat, the prayers, the nights spent wrestling with doubt, the morning spent rising despite the pain. That's where God strengthens you, restores you, prepares you to carry His blessings without crumbling under their weight. Success belongs to those who walk in faith, even when the goal feels a lifetime away, even when the path is shrouded in fog. When progress stalls, when your heart aches for results, the process is your lifeline, your anchor. Trust God, show up, and the outcome will unfold in His time. Too many quit when the harvest doesn't come fast, believing they've failed, that they're too broken to continue. But God's timing isn't yours. Patience, faith, consistency, these are the keys to His promise. Consistency binds you to God's work step by step, even when the path is unclear, even when doubt screams louder than hope. It's doing the right things, trusting His plan day after day through every tear and triumph. It's not flashy, it's the heartbeat of His calling, the rhythm of His purpose. Focusing on the process transforms you in ways you never imagined. You grow stronger, more disciplined, more anchored in faith. You learn to cherish the small victories, the quiet moments of progress that come from showing up, from trusting God. The outcome is a fruit of His process, but the process is where He reveals your strength, your purpose, your healing. When you embrace the journey, nothing can stop you. The outcome fades. Your faith shines brighter than ever. People see the triumph, the promotion, the applause, but they don't see the tears, the prayers, the battles fought in the dark. But you know, the process, guided by God, made it possible. That's your testimony, your pride, your proof that He never left your side. So when you're caught up in the outcome, when you're chasing the finish line, step back. The process is where God weaves His miracles, where He mends your brokenness, where He equips you to thrive in His purpose. You can't control every outcome. Life twists, plans shift, storms come. But you control your faith, your effort, your consistency. Focus on the journey, and the results will bloom in God's time, more beautiful than you could dream. Don't chase the prize, chase the habit of faith, the daily surrender to His plan. The process shapes you into the person God created you to be, whole, radiant, and alive in His light. Accountability is a sword that cuts through the noise of excuses, sharp and unyielding. It's not loud or thrilling, but it's the cornerstone of God's purpose, the foundation of His plan. Without it, dreams remain dreams, fading into shadows, lost to time. We set goals, make vows in the heat of inspiration, our hearts burning with possibility. But life creeps in distractions, weariness, old wounds, reopened pain that feels too heavy to bear. Those goals, once blazing bright, dim under a pile of tomorrows that never arrive. Why? Because when no one's watching, it's easy to slip. Skipping a day of prayer, a step toward His purpose, feels small, insignificant. But it's a crack in the foundation, a step away from His calling. Joshua chapter 1 verse 9 commands, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you." Accountability is the fire that keeps you aligned, the force that pushes you when no one else does, when your own heart falters. It's easy to say you'll stay faithful, to promise you'll chase God's call. But accountability makes it real, makes it urgent. We all face choices: rise early to pray or linger in the comfort of sleep, work on His purpose, or sink into the ease of distraction. No one knows if you slip, but you do. Your heart knows and God knows. You must hold yourself to His standard, choosing His purpose over fleeting comfort, over the pain that tempts you to turn back. Accountability is brutal. It forces you to face the mirror, to confront the one responsible for your path. It's easier to blame life circumstances, pain, chaos. But deep down, it's you. Your actions, your faith, your effort. When you fall short, the weight is yours to carry. That truth stings, but it's the spark that ignites consistency, that drives you to fulfill God's call. Set standards you won't break, rise early, pray without ceasing, pursue His purpose with every ounce of your strength. No excuses, no compromises. Your standards, rooted in faith, are your compass, guiding you through the fog of doubt. Writing your goals makes them a covenant with God, a sacred promise. Put them where they haunt you, your mirror, your desk, your heart. Let them stare you down daily, reminding you of His purpose, His call on your life. Goals fade when ignored, slipping into the shadows of forgotten dreams. But daily reminders keep them alive, urgent, burning with divine purpose. Accountability is action. Surround yourself with souls who lift you, who won't let you slip, who care enough to call you out when you stray from God's standard. You need them because motivation falters, but faithful allies stand firm, holding you to His truth. Your circle shapes your accountability, molds your resolve. Surround yourself with those who breathe God's purpose, who inspire discipline, who refuse to settle for less than His best. They elevate you, remind you of your call, and push you to rise when you'd rather fall. Be accountable to them too. It's a sacred bond, a mutual vow. When others rely on you, it adds a divine weight of fire to keep going, to keep fighting. But the heart of accountability is honesty with yourself. Look in the mirror daily. Did I give everything to God's call? Did I honor His purpose with my choices? Answer with raw, unflinching truth. If yes, press on stronger for it. If no, own it, plan better, lean on His grace to rise again. That honesty separates those who fulfill His purpose from those who don't. You can't lie to yourself and grow, can't hide from God's truth and thrive. Accountability builds trust in yourself, in God. You believe you can follow through, and that belief fuels courage for greater challenges, for bolder steps toward His plan. It's a vow that your word, your faith matters. That integrity divides dreamers from doers, the broken from the healed. It's not about perfection, it's about showing up, doing God's work, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Only you can make His purpose real, starting with accountability every single day. Failure isn't your enemy. It's God's classroom, a sacred space where He shapes you. We fear it, taught to see it as shame, as a mark of unworthiness. But failure is a divine teacher refining you, if you have the faith to keep going, to trust His plan. If you quit when life bruises you, when the wounds reopen, how will you grow? Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's woven into God's process, a thread in His tapestry. Every hero of faith has stumbled, doubted, fallen hard. They didn't stay down. They didn't let failure define them. They trusted God, learned from the fall, and rose stronger, more resolute. Romans chapter 5, verse 3-4 declares, we also glory in our sufferings, because suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. Failure hurts, it burns, shakes your core, rips open scars you thought had healed. It feels like a betrayal, a wound that whispers you're not enough. But so does your power to rise, to heal, to overcome. Failure isn't final unless you choose it. It's a lesson, a stepping stone, a moment God uses to shape you. You can let it crush you, let it fester, or you can let it fuel you, ignite your faith. The question isn't if you'll fail, it's how you'll respond. Will you let it break you, or will you let it sharpen you, refine you for His purpose? Failure's power lies in its lessons, revealing where you must grow, where God is carving you into His image. Stay faithful and you'll emerge stronger, bolder, closer to Him. Consistency in failure is the key, the anchor that holds you steady. It's easy to be consistent when life's smooth, when the path is clear. But when you fall, when the ground crumbles beneath you, that's when faith is forged, when character is built. Those moments define you, shape you into His likeness. Push through, stay committed, and nothing, not failure, not pain, can stop you. Failure isn't a wall. It's a detour guiding you to paths God intended, paths you couldn't see without the fall. Think of times failure led to blessings in disguise, to moments of grace you couldn't have planned. It feels crushing, overwhelming, but with faith, it's a setup for His greatness, a chapter in His story for you. Don't let failure define you. You're not your mistakes, your setbacks, your scars. You're the one who rises, who trusts God, who refuses to let defeat have the last word. That's success, persistence, resilience, faith that burns through the dark. Your heroes failed, stumbled, doubted, but they didn't quit. They rewrote their story, rising stronger, each time leaning on God's strength. Every failure is a chance to grow, to adjust, to become better, to become His. But only if you stay in the fight, if you keep running His race. Give up and you'll never know the strength God placed in you, the purpose He's preparing. Failure is temporary, consistency makes it a stepping stone, a milestone in His plan. The next time you fall, don't run. Embrace it. Let it fuel you. Learn from it, adjust, keep moving in faith. Failure isn't the enemy. It's God's ally, shaping you for His purpose, healing you through His grace. Consistency in failure separates those who succeed from those who don't. It takes courage to rise when life crumbles, when the wounds bleed fresh. That's where God forges greatness, where He turns your pain into power. Stay the course and failure becomes your ally, each stumble a step closer to His plan. Consistency is the bridge between your dreams and God's reality, the path from your wounds to His healing. It unlocks the purpose He carved into your soul before time began. It's not easy. It demands discipline, grit, a faith that burns through every doubt, every scar, every storm. What's your name, my friend? Where are you standing today? Are you ready to rise, to heal, to walk boldly in His plan? Make consistency your vow, your sacred promise to God. Show up, do His work even when it hurts, even when the world screams for you to quit, even when your heart feels too broken to continue. The Lord is with you, His strength infinite, His love unending, His grace sufficient for every wound. Drop them in the comments, share your story, your struggles, your victories, your journey. Let's build a family of faith, a community of warriors lifting each other, pushing each other to keep running toward God's promise. Your breakthrough is coming closer than you know, brighter than you can imagine. Trust Him, stay faithful, and watch His purpose unfold, turning your scars into stars, your pain into power, your dreams into a reality so glorious it could only be His. Keep going, my friend. God's got you, and your victory is already written in His eternal plan.